Most people watch football emotionally, and look, that's absolutely fine. I do that myself because I am a very passionate football fan. But sometimes you just want to go a little bit deeper. You want to understand why things are happening on the pitch, and you want to be able to analyse games without just watching them. And that means you have to watch football intentionally. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to analyse the opposition, step by step. So you can pinpoint how teams actually win football matches, not just what happens on the surface. So if you're a passionate fan like me, this framework will give you simplicity and clarity. So let's dive into it. So firstly, get a notepad and pen out, or to make things simpler for yourself, download my match analysis template, link in the description. And step 1 is one of the most important steps. Probably not as important as step 4 and 5, but it's up there. And step 1 is observe before you analyse. So for the first 10 minutes of a match, I don't want you to write anything down. I just want you to watch the game. Just watch it. Because by watching it and not taking notes straight away, you get a proper feel for the energy of the game, for the style of play that the opposition team are going for, and for the tempo of the match. And you can start asking yourself these questions. Are the opposition team dominating the ball from the get-go? Maybe the opposition team are trying to play more direct. Are they perhaps attacking down one particular side? And this helps you build an overall picture before diving into the deep stuff. Because if you start jotting things down too early, then you can kind of lose track of what you're actually trying to look for. And you end up missing the flow of the game, which can give you a lot of context, because good analysis is all about context. Step 2 is when you can start identifying the team's structure, both in possession and out of possession. But before that, what was their starting formation? How did they line up on paper? Because this will tell you a lot about their intentions straight away. So, for example, the opposition team, in this case, are the red team. Okay, so let's look at the red team. So let's say their starting formation is a 3-4 in the midfield, 3 along the attacking line. 3-4-3. That probably means that their wing backs are going to be key players in this system. It also tells you that most likely when they go forward, these players will provide the width on the pitch, making it look like when they go into attacking areas, here, speaking about changes in formation, more like a 3-2-5. Okay? With these wing backs push very high, providing the width. But it also gives you hints about what their defensive formation might be, because naturally the easiest formation to drop back into from a 3-4-3 formation would naturally be a 5, okay, because you would expect these wing backs to come back and help defend. 3, with one of these attacking players dropping back into the midfield line. 2 formation. And so you might ask, well, Lucas, why can't they drop back into a 4-4-2 formation? Well, they definitely can, but by starting in that 3-4-3 structure, it's going to make it very difficult for them to get into a 4-4-2 from this structure. I'll show you. Let's try and do it. Right, so this wing back's going to drop in. This centre-back is going to actually play as a left-back. These two centre-backs are going to shuffle across. You're going to have this player drop back as a right mid. These two centre-mids are going to shuffle a little bit. He's going to get more compact. And then you're going to have your front two. How difficult was that to get into that formation? And this is an important point. Formations in matches have to merge into each other seamlessly. Because if you give a player too great a distance to cover, or if the transition into another formation is really difficult for the players to kind of grasp on the pitch, then you're just putting yourself at an immediate disadvantage. Now imagine during that movement to get into that position, we unexpectedly make a bad pass into the centre and we lose the ball. All I want my wing backs to do in this moment is simply just to run back as quick as possible down the line. If you try to complicate it or give players too great a distance, too large a distance to cover, then you will get hurt when you turn the ball over, because naturally they will leave more space for a great amount of time. So remember, shapes are very flexible. You're not just writing the formation, you're also noting down how these formations merge between each other. Step 3, I want you to study each phase of play. And there's 3 particular phases I want you to focus on. Number 1, the build-up phase, okay? So let's just focus on this part of the pitch in here. What do the opposition team do when the goalkeeper has the ball and they're playing out from a goal kick? Do they try to build up? What structure are they building up in? Or if they don't try to build up, what do they do instead? Because they might just kick it long. And so again, that's why context is king. If this team aren't building up from the back and playing short passes to try and build out, then don't focus on that. You don't need to worry about it. If they're going long on a lot of occasions, for example, though, then that's the thing you need to focus on and analyze, because that is affecting our team and how we are going to approach the game. Then we're going to focus on the second phase, okay? What I like to call the middle phase. So what do the team do when they're in the middle part of the pitch and they have the ball? So again, It's important to know, what is their structure? Remember, we are the blue team and the opposition team that we are analysing are the red team. And there's two important things I want you to look out for in this phase. Number one, midfield rotations. And this is very common for teams to do because in order to try and break our defensive block, then you'll often find that these players, the opposition players, will rotate to kind of confuse us a little bit, okay? Because it'll make tracking these players for us a lot harder. Because for example, if this player is marking this player, and here's one of the pivot players, okay, the centre mid. If these guys switch positions and we are trying to man mark them, then he's going to end up following him, and this fullback is going to end up following him inside. And that's going to leave a lot of space out here. And it also might mean that this centre mid doesn't want to travel that far out wide. So he just leaves him. And then you've got a situation where the centre mid, the guy that wanted to get on the ball in the first place, is free in space out wide. This centre-back can pull back and then they can perhaps play a ball like that. Okay, so can you try and spot these midfield rotations? And secondly, how are they creating width and depth? Okay, so who is holding the width for the opposition team? And how are they creating that depth, okay? Who is making those runs in behind, forcing the back line back? What zones are they moving from to? Okay, if you've got a winger here, he might move from an outside position and make a diagonal run into an inside position to kind of stretch that back line. What space does that then open up? And this will give you a sense as to how the opposition team are trying to break you down in this phase of play. And then we're going to focus on the final phase, okay? Which types of runs are they using more commonly? Are they using overlapping runs when the inverted winger maybe drifts wide a little bit and has the wing back overlap nice and tight around him? Are they using underlapping runs where perhaps the winger is the one holding the width and the wing back comes inside like that? Okay, how are they trying to infiltrate the box? Are they using crosses more often? These are all things that you should be asking yourself, writing down, and trying to figure out why they are doing that. For example, the opposition might be funneling the ball down this left channel. And because they've done that, they've created two really good chances. Right, now work backwards. Why do they keep funneling the ball down the left-hand side? Is there anything that I can spot here that they are utilising to create a good chance? Now, step 4, spotting patterns. Because patterns reveal intent. And this is probably one of the most overlooked and underrated things in analysis. Because once you've got their structure, I want you to zoom in on what are the recurring behaviours of this opposition team. Which players does the attack flow through the most? What zones on the pitch are overloads constantly being created? What movements do they repeat on and off the ball again and again and again? And if it happens multiple times, then it's not a coincidence. And it's most likely a coaching instruction. So don't just see something once and think, yes, that is what the coach is asking them to do. And this is often called anchoring bias, when you latch on to the first piece of information. Don't do that. Let the game settle a little bit and have a look to see if that one thing is being confirmed again and again and again, because that's a pattern. And that is also how you begin to uncover what the opposition manager is asking his team to do. And once you've nailed that down, well, then you can start figuring out how you might counter it. Step 5, understand the adjustments. So when watching the second half, I want you to repeat this same process, okay? Step 1 to 4, you're just going to repeat. But now I want you to specifically look for any changes. Now, changes often occur in the halftime period, particularly big changes, because that's when the manager and the coaches have time to sit down with their team and go through specific instructions in depth. So they can work out what has worked and, more importantly, what hasn't worked. And if they find something that didn't work, or perhaps we countered what was working for them originally, chances are they will try to change it. So you have to be aware of these changes and be constantly looking out for them so you stay one step ahead of the game. So for example, did the opposition alter their press? Did they switch formation? Has their build-up pattern changed, or has their build-up intention changed? But also try and articulate why they might have changed, because that immediately gives you hints at what you might do in response. For example, if they are changing their build-up structure so that one particular man is always freed up and spare and available to pass to, well, it tells us what we need to focus on. We need to stop that man from getting on the ball and make him not spare anymore. And these small tweaks often reveal the coach's flexibility. And finally, step 6, draw your conclusions. At the end of your analysis, look back through all your notes and ask yourself, what was the opponent's biggest strength in this game? What was their main weakness in this game? How could you set up differently next time to exploit it? And this is where you go through kind of a phase of problem solving, because now you've got time to sit down with your analysis and your notes and go through exactly what impacted that game. And that's how you start to think more tactically. And that will take your knowledge immediately to the next level. So if you found this useful and you want a template to help you follow this process, I've created a free match analysis template and you can download it below. And if you really want to accelerate your understanding in football, check out my 7-day Football IQ Accelerator. It is the fastest way to become a smarter and more tactical thinker without needing any qualifications using my 7-day system. Guys, as well, please drop any video suggestions down below. I do read every comment. Click subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.